Good morning, everyone. How are you doing this morning? Pancakes? Did you not have any pancakes? I heard someone had 6 pancakes. Is that true? You had 7? I was wrong. Once again, I was wrong. 7 pancakes. Where did you put them? You had 4 or 5. Wow. Any adults advancing 7? Any advancing 7? Oh, Erica? How many did you have? 7. So Eden, maybe you could go and eat more. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I want to tell a story. You know, this is actually the beginning of our pledge campaign. And you may not. Izzy. Isn't this it? Oh, Louise. Oh, you need help? Okay. You want to come forward? Thanks, Becca. And so, this is the start where we're with the week-long campaign where we kind of ask for money. And people think, like, what makes a religious community? And some, of course, we need money to support it. But you know what really makes people like you? It's not just about pancakes, It's about the people. Hi, Lucy. It's nice to see you. Pancake. But this story is not about pancakes, but it's about something. It's something that you need to make pancakes. Not Pancake World. This is a story that comes from, do you know a country called Romania? It's in Central Europe. They make the best pancakes in the world in Romania. So I'm told, but I've never been there. But Romania is this country, and there have been Unitarians in Romania since, trying to think when, the 1600s. So 400 years they've been there. And so... What's that? A sea lion? Oh, that's cool. That's beautiful. Well, this story doesn't have a sea lion in it because, there's no sea lions in this part of Romania because it's in the mountains. It's not close to the sea. But, these people, there was a young girl called Zora and was with her father. And you know what she was helping them do? They were actually building their church because they didn't have a church. We've got this building that we all keep up. And, that's one of the reasons that we need money to keep the building. And there's all these people here work hard to keep the building up. But one of the things that happens is, hey, Eden, can you listen? So one of the things that happens is they needed to build a church. So they built this church, and it was beautiful, and they were really proud of it. Zora and her father and all the people that in the community built the church, and it was really nice. But what happened was they were opening the church, and Zora and her father were looking at the church and thought, we don't have any lights in the church. So Zora got really worried. They said, we've got these beautiful walls, these beautiful paintings, beautiful windows. It's in the top of the mountain. But there's no lights. And so what are we going to do? And Zora's father said, just you wait. And so the sun set, and the father and Zora were in church, outside the church eating. And then all of a sudden, as the sun went down, they started to see all these spots of light coming up through the path. And then when they eventually got up there, they saw everyone was bringing their own lamps. And Zora thought, but we don't have our light with us. Zora's father said, it's okay. Your mother's bringing it. And her mother arrived with a beautiful lamp and handed it to Zora, and Zora picked it up. But she couldn't quite reach where they put the lights in. So they picked up Zora, and she put the lamp in there. And father said, you see, what happens is that the light for a church, each person brings their own light. And it's the light that we bring that makes the church the community it is. And so that's a good thing to think about. Like, each of you here brings your light to this community. Everyone in here and everyone online and those up, all those people up in the balcony today, up there, they all bring their own light, and that's what makes this religious community the place it is. So next time you think, because sometimes, some of us have a bad week. Tracey was saying this, she had a hard week. So her light was maybe a little dampened compared to what was, maybe last week. But each of us bring our own light, and sometimes maybe my light will help light Tracey, and sometimes Tracey's light will help light me. And sometimes every time you come up here and engage with me, my light gets a little brighter because you bring a lot of light to this community. So remember the light you bring to the community, because it's very important. So thank you so much for listening. It's time for your religious community now.
I was baptized Catholic and was a practicing Catholic until my early 30s. The Jesuits and the other Catholic organizations that I gravitated to when I was practicing had a lens on giving back through social justice and tithing. There are important reasons I am no longer Catholic, but I value what I learned from the church and from my parents. My parents modeled for my brothers and I tithing as well as volunteering in their community. I think that this is one of the reasons I was instantly comfortable in this amazing UU community. Our commitment to giving back through Share the Plate, social action, and being involved in the community. It's something I deeply value. Tithing is something I learned about in Sunday school as a child. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22 to 23 says, "Be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce every year." And this one from Luke chapter 6, verse 38. "Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap." My spiritual belief and experience is that when I am generous, it returns to me many times. My parents' example of giving back to the community has been a guiding light in my life. My work requires fundraising to support causes that I care deeply about. I am passionate about helping others and bringing justice through those organizations. A saying in the nonprofit world is, "No money, no mission." One of the resources needed to support a community and its mission are funds, money. UUFRC receives the highest donation of my charitable giving every year. Why? First, I believe that UUFRC matters here in the local community where I live. Our work, our presence, it makes a difference. Just this week at work, I shared that UUFRC members are involved in the rapid response work in San Mateo County, something that Sonrisa's staff are very worried about for our patients. And I'm currently writing a guide for what they should do if ICE shows up, and calling rapid response is the first thing recommended. But even more importantly, I've watched and personally experienced this community show up for my family and for others. 7 years ago, this community provided the support my kids and I needed beautifully. I requested something of Reverend Gretchen that felt difficult to ask for. She did not hesitate, and she showed up with grace. When my family wanted Dave's celebration of life to be here in this sanctuary, I will never forget the way the community went above and beyond. Thank you. It still touches me today, and it meant a lot to share today. My good news that I'm getting married 7 years after this very difficult time in my life. UUFRC matters to me. Our mission matters to me. In 2025, UUFRC will receive the largest donation I make, and my pledge will be higher than it was in 2024. I'm so fortunate and blessed to be a part of this community.
That simple message, you are so loved. I think what we heard today, and I think hope what you experience here every day, not just Sundays, every day, that this is a place where you can come and be loved. Loved for who you are. that inherent worth and dignity that we all have means that we are all deserving of love. And the purpose of religious community sometimes can be as simple as reminding each of us that we are loved. And I hope you leave here feeling that. The pledge campaign's a difficult time. We are here, we really want to talk about our higher values and our aspirations and inspirations for life. And yet we need to ask for money to sustain it. As Jen said, 80% of our budget comes from the pledges. And I also have to acknowledge that the biggest item in our budget is talking to you right now. So that could put me in an awkward position. And I also hear that the two biggest fears most people have in everyday life is talking about money in public speaking. I hope you acknowledge the courage I have right now. And money is an awkward subject, but ultimately what money is an energy, it's a capacity to do things. Money is an energy. It allows us to spend money to the staff. It allows us to maintain this building, which we open up to other parts in the community that maybe don't have the material wealth we do. We have AA groups here on Mondays and Wednesdays. Alcoholic Anonymous groups we have there. We open up to other communities who may not be as materially rich as we have to provide it, and I think that justifies us being a non-profit, having non-profit status for tax purposes. We are part of this community and we want to do more for the community. We do a lot, but we're always trying to look for different ways we can support the community. And the theme for this year is growing our spiritual home. Growing our spiritual home. And the idea of growing deserves some exploration. Because I think when we hear that, we think, oh, we want more members. That is a consequence of doing the other growth I think we need to do. It's not the goal in itself. I like to think of growth as kind of multi-dimensional, and it's deepening the connection with one another, growing and deepening the connection with one another and our connection to our religious values, stretching to live more fully into our religious values, widening our connections to the local community that I was just talking about, and also widening connections within our community. Perhaps some of the people talked to today, you said, I don't know them. Well, now's your chance to widen to grow and talk to the people who gave the testimonials today. And then I think ultimately as a religious community, as a spiritual community, we are trying to reach high to that sense of transcendence. Transcendence meaning surpassing the normal range of human experience to get that elation that we get when we have those transcendent experiences. It's not that we have them every day, it's not even that we have them every year, but it's to open us up, to crack us open to be available to receive those transcendent experiences. One of the new values adopted by the Unitarian Universalist Association at last year's General Assembly was generosity. And our statement in the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws says, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Generosity cultivates an attitude of gratitude and hope. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking for hope at this time. I am seeking hope. And I mentioned it in the video that I sent out on Friday. Sometimes I come here on a Sunday morning and I'm not as perky as I would like to be. But I always leave here happier and more hopeful and more inspired than when I arrived. Regardless of how I come in, I leave inspired and more hopeful. And I hope you experience that, if not every Sunday, most Sundays. I want to talk some of the fundamentals about pledging. My belief is that religious community should alleviate suffering and not be the cause of it. So if you're in financial hardship at the moment, take care of yourself and your family. Don't worry about pledging to us. Take care of yourself and family, and you come here and you participate in what you can, because you are welcome here. As David said quite beautifully earlier, that sometimes you're in a situation where you need to rely on others, and that's what community does. There was a famous person that once said, each according to the needs, from each according to their gifts. I won't say who that is, because it's quite outright. It was Karl Marx. Oops, I said it. I know you were all going to look it up on your phones anyway, so. But ultimately, if you are struggling, then take care of yourself. Do what you can for the community, but ultimately prioritize you and your family's needs. And also, I agree with the idea of tithing. 10% of the income. But I don't think it should all go to the church. I donate 5% of my income to UUFRC. I donate 5% to other organizations in the community that I believe are important. Like Tracey, it's my single biggest donations to the church. But I invite you to think of tithing in that sense. What percentage would you like to give to the church? What percentage would you like to give to other non-profit organizations? And really think of that. And it may not be achievable right now, but maybe it's something you can work towards in the longer term. And ultimately, I do not like, I'm going to use the word hate. I don't use the word from the pulpit very often. I hate the expression, give until it hurts. You give until it feels good. You should feel good about the pledge you give to UUFRC. There shouldn't be guilt, there shouldn't be resentment, it should be something you feel good about. And think about what your gift here does. It's not only a gift to this community, it's a gift to ourselves. Where else do you have a community that helps you not only expand and live into your values, but help spread those values in the wider community? Most organizations that we are part of don't do that. And you help form the values of this community. So give until it feels good. Reflect before you make your pledge. And how much do you get from this community? What does this community mean to you? Not only, as Aurelia said, not only what this community means to yourself, but what's it going to mean to future generations? This community's been here for 60 years. What we do now will impact what's happening 60 years hence. How do you want to impact that? And I think it's important with the idea of pledging, because ultimately what you're doing, it's a promise, and this is for the 25-26 church year, which starts in July. It's not for now. This is a pledge for the coming church year from July 25 through June 2026. But I think the idea of pledging is making a commitment to a community. And our community only exists from people who have made pledges in the past. And everyone here and those in the past who've given generously of their time, their energy, their talent, and yes, their money. Our spiritual home in its fullest sense, and I want to explore the word home just for a couple of minutes. We often think of home as a place, but ultimately home is a feeling. Home is really a feeling, a place where you feel you belong, you feel welcome. And it's not, as some people say, home is where if you show up, they have to let you in. Home is where you show up and people are glad to see you and love to see you and want you there to stay. That's what really home is. So home is a feeling more than a place. And I hope you get that feeling from this community. And I hope our spiritual home in its fullest sense, rejuvenates and prepares us to more fully engage our world. It is a place where I hope you feel you belong, you feel welcome, and ultimately you feel so loved. Because our true religious home is the spirit of loving community that embraces us, nurtures us, and inspires us to reach to our highest ideals and live by our highest values.